Did you know that your brain can literally rewire itself after a stroke? In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share 10 evidence-based recovery tips that could dramatically accelerate your healing journey or help someone you love bounce back stronger than ever. These aren't just feel-good suggestions. They're backed by cutting-edge neuroscience research that's changing how we understand stroke recovery. If you or someone close to you has experienced a stroke, I want you to know something important right from the start. Recovery is possible at any stage, and your brain is far more adaptable than you might think. The term scientists use is neuroplasticity, your brain's remarkable ability to form new neural pathways and reorganize itself throughout your entire life. This isn't wishful thinking. It's documented science from institutions like Harvard Medical School and the National Institute of Health. Let me paint a picture for you. When a stroke occurs, blood flow to part of the brain is interrupted, causing brain cells in that area to die. It sounds devastating, and it can be, but here's what's truly amazing. The areas of your brain that weren't damaged can actually learn to take over functions that were lost. Think of it like a city rebuilding after a natural disaster. New roads get built, traffic finds alternate routes, and neighborhoods adapt to serve new purposes. The first tip I want to share with you might surprise you because it challenges something many people believe about stroke recovery. Most people think there's a window, maybe 6 months or a year, after which recovery stops. But research published in the journal Stroke shows that meaningful recovery can continue for years, even decades after a stroke. Dr. Gottfried Schlaug at Harvard Medical School has documented cases of patients making significant improvements 5, 10, even 15 years post-stroke. This brings us to our first recovery tip. Start early, but never give up. The earlier you begin rehabilitation, the better, but it's never too late to begin. Your brain doesn't stop being plastic just because time has passed. In fact, studies from Johns Hopkins showed that intensive therapy can produce improvements even in chronic stroke survivors who are years past their initial event. What does starting early look like? As soon as your medical team clears you for activity, sometimes within 24 to 48 hours after a stroke, gentle movement and stimulation should begin. This might be as simple as a physical therapist helping you move your limbs while you're still in the hospital bed. The key is that your brain needs input to start rebuilding those neural highways. Now, let's talk about our second tip, which is absolutely crucial for long-term recovery. Consistency beats intensity every single time. I've seen patients who go all out for a few weeks and then burn out. And I've seen patients who do a little bit every single day for months and years. Guess which group sees better outcomes? The research from the American Heart Association is clear on this. Consistent, daily practice is far more effective than sporadic intensive sessions. Think about learning to play piano. You wouldn't expect to master it by practicing 12 hours one day and then not touching the keys for a week. Your brain learns through repetition and routine. The same applies to stroke recovery. Whether you're relearning how to speak, walk, or use your hands, your brain needs regular, repeated exposure to these activities to strengthen new neural pathways. This doesn't mean you need to exhaust yourself every day. Even 15 to 30 minutes of focused practice can be incredibly beneficial. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke recommends breaking practice into short, manageable sessions throughout the day rather than one long, tiring session. Our third tip focuses on something that might seem obvious but is often overlooked. Sleep is not just rest. It's when your brain does its most important recovery work. During sleep, particularly during deep sleep phases, your brain consolidates learning and literally cleans itself of toxins that build up during waking hours. Research from the University of Rochester shows that during sleep, the brain's glymphatic system becomes highly active, washing away waste products, including those associated with stroke damage. For stroke survivors, quality sleep becomes even more critical because your brain is working overtime to rewire itself. Studies published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine show that stroke patients who get adequate, quality sleep show significantly better motor recovery and cognitive improvement compared to those with poor sleep patterns. What does good sleep hygiene look like for stroke recovery? First, aim for 7 to 9 hours per night, just like anyone else. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day helps regulate your body's internal clock. Create a sleep environment that supports recovery. A cool, dark, quiet room. And if you're dealing with mobility issues, make sure your bed setup is safe and comfortable. Many stroke survivors struggle with sleep disorders, and this is where working with your healthcare team becomes essential. Sleep apnea, for instance, is more common after stroke and can significantly impair recovery if left untreated. If you're having trouble sleeping, don't just accept it as part of recovery. Address it as a medical issue that needs attention. Now, let's move to our fourth tip, which involves something you do every single day: nutrition as medicine. The food you eat directly impacts your brain's ability to heal and rebuild. This isn't about following the latest diet trend. This is about understanding how specific nutrients support neuroplasticity and recovery. The Mediterranean diet has the strongest research backing for brain health and stroke recovery. Studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine show that this way of eating can reduce the risk of recurrent stroke by up to 30% and supports cognitive recovery. But what exactly makes this diet so powerful for brain healing? Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are essential building blocks for brain tissue. Research from Harvard School of Public Health shows that stroke survivors who consume adequate omega-3s show better recovery in areas of motor function and cognitive processing. If you're not a fish eater, walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds are excellent plant-based sources. Antioxidant-rich foods are equally important. Think of antioxidants as your brain's cleanup crew, removing harmful free radicals that can interfere with healing. Blueberries, dark leafy greens, and colorful vegetables aren't just nutritious, they're therapeutic. Studies from Tufts University demonstrate that anthocyanins, the compounds that give berries their deep colors, can actually enhance communication between brain cells. Protein is crucial too, but not just any protein. Your brain needs amino acids to manufacture neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that allow brain cells to communicate. Lean proteins like chicken, fish, beans, and eggs provide these essential building blocks. The National Institutes of Health recommends that stroke survivors pay particular attention to getting adequate protein throughout the day, not just at dinner. Hydration often gets overlooked, but it's fundamental to brain function. Even mild dehydration can impair cognitive function and slow recovery. Your brain is about 75% water, and proper hydration ensures that nutrients can reach brain cells and waste products can be removed efficiently. Our fifth tip might challenge some assumptions about stroke recovery: the power of mental practice and visualization. This isn't new age thinking. This is cutting-edge neuroscience. Research from the Cleveland Clinic shows that when stroke survivors mentally rehearse movements or activities, their brains show activation patterns very similar to actually performing those movements. Here's how it works. When you imagine moving your affected arm or leg, your brain activates many of the same neural networks it would use for the actual movement. This mental practice helps maintain and strengthen neural pathways, even when physical practice isn't possible. It's like keeping the roads in your brain's highway system maintained even when they're not carrying full traffic. Dr. Alvaro Pascual-Leon at Harvard Medical School has conducted fascinating research on this phenomenon. His studies show that stroke patients who combine physical practice with mental practice show significantly greater improvement than those who only do physical rehabilitation. The brain, it turns out, doesn't always distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones when it comes to laying down neural pathways. Practical mental practice might look like this. Spend 10 minutes each day lying quietly and mentally rehearsing activities you want to improve. If you're working on walking, imagine yourself taking smooth, confident steps. Feel your weight shifting from one leg to the other. Visualize your arms swinging naturally at your sides. If you're recovering speech, mentally rehearse having conversations. Imagine the words flowing smoothly and clearly. The key to effective mental practice is detail and engagement of all your senses. Don't just think about walking. Imagine the feeling of your feet touching the ground, the rhythm of your breathing, the sound of your footsteps. The more vivid and detailed your mental rehearsal, the more your brain treats it like real practice. This brings us to our sixth tip, which is about harnessing the power of music and rhythm in recovery. Music therapy isn't just about enjoyment. It's a powerful tool for brain rehabilitation that's backed by extensive research. The American Music Therapy Association has documented remarkable results in stroke recovery, particularly for speech and movement rehabilitation. Here's what happens in your brain when you listen to or make music. Multiple areas activate simultaneously. The auditory cortex processes the sounds, the motor cortex responds to rhythm, the memory centers recall familiar songs, and the emotional centers respond to the mood and meaning of the music. For a brain that's rebuilding after stroke, this multi-area activation is like cross-training for recovery. Melodic intonation therapy is one specific application that's shown remarkable results for stroke survivors who have difficulty speaking. Developed at Harvard Medical School, this technique uses the natural melody and rhythm of speech to help rebuild language pathways. Patients who struggle to say, "I want to go home," might be able to sing those same words to a simple melody. Gradually transitioning from singing to normal speech, rhythm and movement therapy can be equally powerful for motor recovery. Research published in the journal Rehabilitation shows that stroke survivors who practice movements to rhythmic music show greater improvement in coordination and timing compared to those who practice the same movements without musical accompaniment. You don't need to be musical to benefit from this approach. Simply listening to music you enjoy while doing rehabilitation exercises can enhance the benefits. Choose music with a clear, steady beat for movement exercises, and familiar songs that you can sing along with for speech practice. The emotional connection to music you love adds another layer of brain activation that supports recovery. Our seventh tip focuses on something that's often underestimated in traditional rehabilitation: the critical importance of social connection and communication. Humans are inherently social beings, and your brain's recovery actually accelerates when you maintain and build meaningful relationships. This isn't just about feeling better emotionally, though that's important too. It's about how social interaction literally stimulates brain healing. Research from the University of Michigan shows that social engagement activates multiple brain networks simultaneously: language processing, emotional regulation, memory formation, and executive function. For a brain recovering from stroke, this multi-network activation is like comprehensive physical therapy for your neural circuits. Conversation is particularly powerful because it requires real-time processing, quick thinking, and adaptive responses. Every conversation you have is essentially a cognitive workout. Studies published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society demonstrate that stroke survivors who maintain active social lives show better cognitive recovery and are less likely to develop depression, which can significantly slow physical recovery. But social connection after stroke can be challenging, especially if you're dealing with speech difficulties or mobility limitations. This is where creativity and persistence become essential. Technology can be a wonderful bridge: video calls with family and friends, online support groups, and social media connections can provide meaningful interaction, even when physical mobility is limited. Support groups specifically for stroke survivors offer unique benefits. You're connecting with people who truly understand your experience, and you're also practicing social skills in a supportive environment. The American Stroke Association has local chapters in most areas and online communities that can connect you with others on similar recovery journeys. Don't underestimate the power of helping others either. Research shows that when stroke survivors become mentors to newer patients or volunteers in their communities, they often experience accelerated recovery themselves. There's something neurologically powerful about shifting from being helped to helping others. Our eighth tip addresses a factor that can make or break recovery success: managing stress and emotional health. Chronic stress doesn't just feel bad, it actively interferes with brain healing and neuroplasticity. When you're stressed, your body produces cortisol and other stress hormones that can impair memory formation, slow neural recovery, and increase inflammation in the brain. The connection between emotional health and physical recovery is so strong that the American Heart Association now includes psychological support as a standard part of stroke care recommendations. Depression affects up to 1/3 of stroke survivors, and it's not just a natural emotional response, it's often a direct result of brain changes from the stroke itself. Here's what's crucial to understand. Treating depression and anxiety after stroke isn't about thinking positive or toughing it out. It's about giving your brain the best possible environment for healing. Studies from Johns Hopkins show that stroke survivors who receive treatment for depression show significantly better motor recovery, cognitive improvement, and overall functional outcomes. Practical stress management for stroke recovery involves several evidence-based approaches. Mindfulness meditation has been shown to reduce cortisol levels and actually promote neuroplasticity. You don't need to become a meditation expert. Even 10 minutes a day of focused breathing can make a measurable difference. Research from Massachusetts General Hospital shows that regular meditation can increase gray matter density in areas of the brain associated with learning and memory. Progressive muscle relaxation is another powerful tool that's particularly helpful if physical tension is an issue. This technique involves systematically tensing and relaxing different muscle groups, which not only reduces physical tension, but also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and repair mode. Physical activity, which we'll discuss more in our next tip, is also one of the most effective stress reducers available. Even gentle movement releases endorphins and other neurochemicals that improve mood and support brain healing. This leads us directly to our 9th tip, the transformative power of exercise and movement. Physical activity isn't just about getting stronger, it's about creating the optimal brain environment for recovery and literally growing new brain cells. This might be the most important tip I share with you today because the research on exercise and neuroplasticity is absolutely compelling. When you exercise, your brain produces a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain cells. It promotes the growth of new neurons, helps existing neurons survive and thrive, and enhances the connections between brain cells. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that stroke survivors who engage in regular physical activity have significantly higher levels of BDNF, which correlates directly with better recovery outcomes. But here's what's particularly exciting. You don't need intense exercise to get these benefits. Research published in the journal Stroke shows that even moderate activity, think walking, gentle swimming, or seated exercises, can dramatically improve recovery outcomes. The key is consistency and gradually increasing activity as your abilities improve. Different types of exercise offer different benefits for stroke recovery. Cardiovascular exercise, anything that gets your heart rate up, improves blood flow to the brain and promotes the growth of new blood vessels. This is crucial because better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients reaching healing brain tissue. Strength training helps rebuild muscle that may have been affected by the stroke, but it also has direct brain benefits. When you perform resistance exercises, your brain has to coordinate complex movement patterns, balance, and timing. This coordination challenge is essentially physical therapy for your neural networks. Balance and coordination exercises are particularly important because they require integration between multiple brain areas, the visual system, the inner ear, the cerebellum, and the motor cortex all have to work together. Tai Chi and yoga are excellent options that combine gentle movement with balance challenges and stress reduction. The timing of exercise matters too. Research from the University of Pittsburgh shows that exercising in the morning can help regulate sleep patterns, which, as we discussed earlier, are crucial for recovery. However, the most important factor is finding a time that works for your schedule and energy levels so you can maintain consistency. Our 10th and final tip brings everything together: the importance of setting realistic, progressive goals and celebrating small victories. Goal setting isn't just motivational psychology, it's actually a neurological necessity. Your brain needs the clear targets to optimize its healing and rewiring processes. Effective goal setting for stroke recovery follows what researchers call the SMART criteria. Goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of, "I want to walk better," a SMART goal might be, "I will walk to the mailbox and back without assistance within 6 weeks, practicing daily walks that increase by 5 steps each week." The neuroscience behind goal setting is fascinating. When you set a specific goal, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for planning and execution, becomes more active. This increased activity actually promotes neuroplasticity in the very brain areas you need for recovery. It's as if having clear goals gives your brain a blueprint for rewiring itself. Breaking larger goals into smaller milestones is crucial for maintaining motivation and allowing your brain to experience success along the way. Each small victory triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that not only makes you feel good, but also enhances learning and memory consolidation. Research from Stanford University shows that people who celebrate small wins during recovery maintain higher motivation and show better long-term outcomes. Keep a recovery journal or use a smartphone app to track your progress. Seeing your improvements documented over time provides powerful motivation and helps you recognize progress that might otherwise feel insignificant. Sometimes recovery happens so gradually that you don't notice day-to-day changes. But when you look back over weeks or months, the improvements become clear and encouraging. It's also important to adjust goals as you progress. What seemed impossible 3 months ago might be achievable now, while some original goals might need to be modified based on your recovery pattern. This isn't failure, it's intelligent adaptation. Your brain is unique, and your recovery will be unique too. As we wrap up these 10 evidence-based recovery tips, I want to emphasize something crucial. Stroke recovery is not a race, it's a journey. Every small step forward is significant. Every day that you consistently work towards your goals is a victory. Your brain's capacity for healing and adaptation is truly remarkable. And with the right approach, patience, and persistence, meaningful recovery is possible. Remember that recovery often comes in waves rather than a straight line upward. You might have days of great progress followed by days that feel like setbacks. This is normal and doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Your brain is doing incredibly complex work to rebuild and reorganize itself, and this process naturally has ups and downs. The 10 tips we've covered today, starting early but never giving up, maintaining consistency, prioritizing sleep, eating for brain health, using mental practice, incorporating music and rhythm, staying socially connected, managing stress and emotions, exercising regularly, and setting progressive goals work best when used together. They're not separate strategies, but interconnected approaches that support your brain's natural healing processes. If you're recovering from stroke yourself, know that your determination and daily effort matter more than you might realize. If you're supporting someone in their recovery, your patience, encouragement, and presence are invaluable parts of their healing process. Recovery is possible, hope is justified, and your brain's capacity for positive change continues throughout your entire life. The field of stroke recovery is advancing rapidly, with new research emerging regularly that gives us even more reasons for optimism. What seemed impossible just a decade ago is now routine, and the techniques we've discussed today represent just the beginning of what we're learning about the brain's remarkable ability to heal and adapt. Take these evidence-based strategies, apply them consistently, and trust in your brain's incredible capacity for recovery. Your comeback story is still being written, and with the right approach, it can be more remarkable than you ever imagined possible.